everyone, how are you doing? I hope you are doing well and taking care of yourself. For today's video, I thought it would be quite interesting to see how my old drawings that I've done using Procreate on iPad looks like if I do it traditionally and recreate it. I actually like drawing on Procreate using those textured pencils or brushes that kind of imitates the look of color pencils. It doesn't look exactly like it, but it has some, grains and textures that's kind of like it. So for example, when you look at drawings like this, you can see a little bit of texture there, and I like not filling the whole spaces and leaving some parts out so it looks like it's more natural and not too filled in. So I'm going to choose a few drawings from my old digital illustrations here and recreate it using the paper and color pencils and see how it looks like afterwards. I'm pretty excited to try it. I usually prefer to draw digitally because for me, it's easier, and I guess I'm a little scared of doing traditional artworks because there's no going back once you draw and paint. Once you make a mistake, you can maybe cover up a little bit, but it's not like you didn't make the mistake. You kind of have to move on from there. Whereas if you draw digitally, you can always go back. You can undo as many times as you want. So for me, it's an easy choice. And maybe this time when I recreate these old drawings here, it's going to be somehow easier because I've already drawn this and I'm just copying basically. Let's see. So I remember when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I used to go to an art class after school. It's a common thing in South Korea to go to like academies after school. And as even a small kid, you would go to different classes like art class or taekwondo class and such. And for like a year, I went to this art class. And I remember every time we were drawing with crayons, we would always do the sketches using yellow. And I don't really know if it's a thing in other countries or in the art world because I never really took a proper art drawing class after this other than the ones from school itself. But I was taught to draw with yellow for the sketches, and that's what I decided to do here. I'm doing my sketch here with the lightest or light yellow color that you can still see. And soon after you see that I have stopped sketching because I decided it's easier to just draw and freestyle. As for my colored pencils, I'm using Faber-Castell, 72 colors I believe, and I am using the Canson paper. It's a multimedia paper that's quite cheap. It's got really good value for money I believe, and I use this kind of for everything. I used it for my last video where I stamped using acrylic paints. I use it for watercolors. I've got to admit that it's not the best paper for watercolors because the paper wobbles afterwards and it's not so great for that. But still, for like an everyday whatever use, I think it's a really good paper. It's quite thick as well, so I really like that. So I'm using this paper for this time as well. I rarely draw with color pencils, even though I have this set of color pencils that I use, but I rarely draw with it because it requires so much hand strength when I draw and color with it. You know what I mean? I am holding the pencils very tightly and I have this tight fist grip. I use all of my fist to grab my pencils, and it's really not the best way actually because it requires a lot of pressure in my hand, and especially when I draw with those color pencils, I have to put extra strength there so that there's more pigments on the paper. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to really put pressure on the paper with the pencils so that there's more pigments out there, so that it looks more vibrant. After a while, my hands start to hurt, and that's, I think I can imagine that if I would do this every day, it would hurt and maybe permanently injure my hand. I don't know. So that's like one of the small reasons why I don't draw so much with those color pencils. And on top of the fact that I'm a bit scared of drawing traditionally because of making mistakes and not being able to go back as how I can do that with my iPad. With iPad, I can always tap and go back, and that's really easy. But with the traditional drawing, you can't do that, so yeah. But I think I should really try to do and experiment more with traditional mediums because I really enjoy the process, even though it's more of a hassle and I'm scared, but at the same time I'm kind of thrilled with the unexpected surprises that I can have. You know what I mean? It's like you can't really go back once you draw, but somehow you can also play around with that, and maybe that would lead you to be more, I don't know, create something new or something unexpected, and maybe at the end you like the end result. I was struggling a little bit in this drawing with drawing the scones on the cutting board because it's like a mix of yellow and brown and orange, and I don't know, it was just hard. I couldn't make it look as nice. I'm not sure if you look at it that you'd notice that it's scones, because it's like, to me it looks like a whole bunch of just something, you know, like a dough or something. I definitely need more practices using color pencils. Speaking of scones, maybe some of you know already that I'm a fan of baking. It's one of my hobbies, and scones is something that I really make regularly, and I can even make it without looking at the recipe. I already know it by heart how to make it. It's just delicious and so easy to make. I got the recipe from my boyfriend's brother, who got the recipe from his mother, I think, and who got the recipe from the friend in England. So the original recipe comes from England. The recipe is probably altered a little bit on the way by the time I received it. So basically you put everything that you see in the picture and add some milk, which is one thing that I forgot to draw in here. You gotta add some milk. The quantity, I don't know. I just add it until the dough becomes like a dough, like a workable consistency, and then I just cut it into small balls and lay it out on a parchment paper and bake it under 200 degrees for 13-15 minutes until it's golden brown on the top. It's just so easy and so delicious. I believe there are some vlogs that I made where you can see me baking the scones. And let me know if you like scones. Do you, or what kind of bread or baked goods do you like? Do you like pastries more or bread more? For myself, I like kind of everything. I would love to make more bread, like breakfast bread or sourdough bread or, you know, buns, but it requires so much more work than cakes, for example, in my opinion, because you need to really knead the bread, let it rest. And yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work. The end result is absolutely worth it, but still it takes a lot of time. Whereas when you make like a simple cake, you can do everything in one go. You don't have to wait for the dough to rise. So that's why I bake like the sweet things more than salty things, I guess. Some people ask me, how do you motivate to draw? And the answer is that I kind of force myself to draw even when I don't want to. And especially YouTube is a way for me to kind of force myself to be creative, because I know that I should, or at least I want to put something out every week or bi-weekly. Then it's always at the back of my head to do something on the weekend for YouTube or for Instagram. And of course, I'm a human, so after work, I really don't want to do anything. I just want to lay down on my bed or on my sofa and just relax and do nothing. But then I tell myself, okay, let's just draw for 5 minutes. And then I usually end up drawing for more than 5 minutes. And that's how I motivate myself to draw, by kind of forcing myself. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this little video of me recreating my old digital drawing. I really enjoyed drawing it and talking to you guys as well. I hope you take care and have a great week ahead, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!